Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello. I'm, I'm seeing some familiar names.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Autonomy Quest. It's very exciting to have everybody here. Tonight, we are going to enjoy the company of one Renee Devereaux. She is the founder of the Autonomy Club for Creative Expression, and she's also an author. She's written The Ultimate Love Affair and Freedom and Empowerment Through Entrepreneurship. She has also developed a unique gift for helping people discover authentic self expression. Renee, thank you so much for being here. This is your second time being the guest on Autonomy Quest, and I could not be more excited to have you. Please, let's begin by just giving a brief rundown on your experience coming up to Autonomy and your enrollment process.
Well, I'm grateful to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation. And yes, it's my second time. And well, I love to see all these familiar faces. The first time we did it, I didn't know everybody, but now, well, not everybody, but at least I do see some familiar names, familiar faces. Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. And the autonomy, well, when I joined back in March of, I guess it was 23, no, we're 24. Oh, what took me here was when I saw University of Reason. I had this invitation, and of course that appealed to me. So I opened the link. It was a Sunday Q&A, and lo and behold, I asked questions, and I was greeted with such generosity and kindness, so that I had to pursue. It was like, who are these people? How did they get my name? And consequently, I followed up and I did that. I guess it was that free workshop. And then I didn't hear much from or as a result of that. But nevertheless, I got another invitation. And then someone asked me to do an integration exercise. A couple of people did. And the more I learned about autonomy, the more interested I became. And then I seriously considered joining. I still was a bit reluctant because I thought, well, I've been self-employed for 40, 41 years at the time, or 42 years. And I thought, well, but what is it really that I'm going to be getting here? So that was a question that showed up. And one of my people who I did an integration workshop or exercise with, she asked me if I would be, like, okay, speaking to Richard and Leah so that I could ask them some questions that perhaps I had not addressed. And lo and behold, I did. I had this incredible conversation with Richard and Leah. And then I discovered that there was a basic structure that I really appreciated because, well, it's Richard's historical, or as a historian, that really appealed to me because I am a history buff, and he knew the history from a very different perspective, not what we're taught in school. So I was thrilled because it's like we had that in common. I love history, the true history of our civilization, the true history of our world. So he and I could communicate on a different level. That is essentially what captivated me because I figured if he knew that and if the students did, then what I know, what I would be able to share wouldn't be so weird or wouldn't be so foreign, that people would know essentially what I was referring to, what I was talking about. And that's what drew me. And of course, the fact that I was offered help as to bringing my work out to the community, which my work is my passion, has been for so long. And that I could do workshops and present to the community. Well, that was thrilling. And they did allow me to do that. And so right away, I started doing workshops and so forth, just as soon as I could. And of course, let's say the seminars, the lectures, they've always been fascinating. And even though the focus for me personally has not been sales, even though I am a salesperson, I've had a different approach in building my business. It's been a very personal approach, and consequently, we had a little. There's certain basic differences as far as the salesmanship. It's how I bring it forward. The difference between the way autonomy presents, but it's almost irrelevant.
Now, you bring up an interesting point there because in the time that I've spent getting to know you, it is apparent that you kind of bridge this gap between what people think about sales and when they hear the regular marketing about autonomy, you kind of bring it to a different level. And I really admire that about you. And I'd like to understand a little bit better about that. So please tell me a little bit about your passion to bring out this creative expression, because I mentioned at the beginning about the Club for Creative Expression. So
Right.
tell me about your background with that and what inspires you to bring that out of people.
Well, thank you. I well, that focus has been with me all along. From the very first beginning of my career, I knew that I wanted to access something in people that oftentimes they were not personally aware of. I know that there is a divine spark within everyone. And most people kind of dismiss that point because they're so focused on the material. Either they're going to be focusing on their appearance or their career, their wealth, finding the mate, building a business or whatever. But my focus has always been, let's explore what's within you. What is there that is unique to you that you can express and perhaps help others, whether it's healing, whether it's inspiring, or whatever. So the focus for me has always been health. And it started with nutrition, and then I became a therapist. And then in my travels, because I relocated many times. Lived in Spain, I lived in Mexico, then Laguna, and probably the worst area for me was Laguna Beach, because there's a plastic surgeon on every corner, and my focus is on natural beauty, natural health. So therefore, I had to find a different avenue to reach people. So because Laguna Beach was so close to LA, the pull, the entertainment industry was there, and consequently I drew in, or I developed the interest, or no, I didn't develop the interest, it was always in me, but I focused on that aspect of drawing people to me so that they could develop their entertainment skills. So that's what shifted in my business there. People wanted to be able to perform. They wanted to either dance on stage or, okay, so then like I say, I just took a different approach. Rather than focusing on health and beauty, I focused on performance. And sure enough, that worked, because there is a creative aspect to many people, especially in that area. So I created the Club for Creative Expression, and then the community where I lived had a TV station, and then I was doing regular shows. But twice a year, I would bring in people. I would have a performance where people would do their thing. A lot of it was dance, but a lot of it was singing, voice, and even some comedy, just a different skill. But what I want to bring forward is that when something doesn't work, that you've been doing, then you try a different approach. And I did love that. But my heart and soul is really on the spiritual, on the inner work. And it's like the focus on the stage work, the performance. That was all good. But I wanted to be able to access that creativity from, let's say, peeling the layers that keep the talent hidden, that keep the confidence at bay. So in Laguna, yes, I did that too, but it was different. It was different. My real soul work is about resolving the trauma, getting rid of those layers of protection that hide that inner spark, that inner beauty. Consequently, again, it's a shift in perception and it's a shift in approach. Yes, I want people to perform, but not from the intellect. There's a difference. And you can see it in artists. You can see it across, if you have the eye to look, you can see that people can perform from the head, and that can be very talented and skilled. I wanted performance from the heart and the soul. It's very different, because then you have the emotional investment. You're playing or you're dancing with so much feeling and emotion that you forget that you're performing. And I know the difference personally, because I am a dancer. And I could never dance from my head. It's always a very physical thing. And there's again, the creative expression. And this is what I've been focusing on at AUTONOMY with the AUTONOMY Club for Creative Expression. I've been wanting to inspire people to connect to their heart in order to play, whether it's the piano or sing or whatever it is that they're going to do, but to do it with that connection. Because then, yes, you are performing, but it's a very different dynamic. And like I say, if you have the eye to see, you can see performers and where they're coming from. If it's strictly intellectual, and you can see it in speakers, you can see it everywhere. Are they speaking from their knowledge, from their intellect, or are they speaking from the heartfelt emotion, from the very soul? Because you see, for me, it's the soul that holds that key. This is the soul's journey. And when I speak of spirituality, I'm talking about the strength of your backbone, and it's got nothing to do with religion. It's your personal spiritual journey. How strong are you to withstand whatever comes from life? And also, how much are you willing to invest in yourself to be able to express what is in your heart and soul? And again, I say, this is a soul's journey. We take it on as being strictly physical, and we do everything most of the time from the intellect, from the head. And I say, well, that can provide for you, it can make you happy, but is it really your heart's desire? Is it really your soul's agenda, that you live your life disconnected from it and from your heart? So for me personally, if I don't do it from the heart, I won't do it. You see, so this has been my, let's say, my quest with autonomy and with the Autonomy Club for Creative Expression to help people differentiate so that they know when they are in their body, heart, and soul, as opposed to their head. Big difference. So this is, again, and I hope to have another talent show performance at some point this year. But again, that is the focus. I want people to connect to their physical, to their body, and also the heart and mind. And I believe that was part of the, or maybe most of the success for the show in December, because we did have some wonderful performers and also some wonderful feedback. I was very, very honored that there were so many participants, and that, well, you know, let's say the applause was heartfelt from everyone. Everyone was so generous. So did that cover the question, James?
I think so. I also, I'm wondering about your own experience with like any techniques that you use to help overcome fear. Hold on one second. Just excuse me.
Sure.
I'm so sorry. All right. So back to the question. Well, I got children running around. It's what children do. So anyways, in what ways did autonomy help you overcome your fears and those mental blocks that one could have when it comes to, you know, creatively expressing themselves?
Well, at the risk of sounding arrogant, um, you see here, it has a lot to do with my background. When you're born into terror and you have experiences that I had as a child, the fear that I have felt as an adult is almost inconsequential. And I can, you know, it's like you feel the fear and do it anyway. That's always been my thing, because nothing compares to the terror that I was born into. So fear, even though I know what it is on a deep level, and then of course just recently relocating and driving up here twice, because I'm at 8,500 feet, and there's a couple of let's say passages coming through mountains to get to 8,500 feet. Yeah, there's a couple of spine tingling moments with ice and snow and so on and so forth. So you know, the feeling, yes, I know what fear is, but it's never stopped me. I've never given it much space, because again, being an entrepreneur for this many years, I just couldn't allow something like that to dominate. And this is again where Richard's work is of value to me, because I know he has the basic philosophy. It's like you overcome, you step over it, and you're either going to let it control you. So for me, a lot of what Richard teaches confirms, it reaffirms what I felt. And I never had the support from anyone, you see. And that's, again, the richness of my connection with autonomy, that a lot of it I already knew, I experienced, but no one had given me the personal the personal, let's say, encouragement, you see. So this is, again, my appreciation for autonomy and Richard's work. The encouragement. It's been a one-woman show all of my life. And so to find a common ground where I can have authentic conversations and to be supported on an emotional level is deeply appreciated.
Was this a surprise to you when you joined the community and when you really got into the course?
Yes, very definitely, because I, again, having been self-employed for so long and having been on a solo flight all of my life, it just seemed that, okay, here, there's an opening. I found a heartfelt connection with Leah, and there was the encouragement. Yes, which yeah, well, I can get emotional about this, but I never had an emotional, let's say, backing or something or someone or a community saying, you go, girl, we're going to do this. We'll help you with your book. Yes, you can present your workshops, because yeah. So for me, it's been a joyful experience, very definitely. I mean, it's like, wow, uh, yeah, a brand new experience, having been on my own for so long. So what can I say? Yeah, I'll be grateful always.
I mean, when you came in with like a real passion and fire behind you, and your influence within the community is very great. And I know that a lot of people are very grateful for you to be here. But I kind of wanted to pick your brain about your side of experiencing the autonomy community. I know that we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but I kind of wanted to take a little bit more time to hear from you about the autonomy community.
Oh, wow. I can get emotional because I've met so many wonderful, dear people. Um, it just, let's say, generous and, yeah, where you can feel trust and a level of friendship uh, that is more authentic. They're there, we share, we connect, uh, and that's, yes, and they can attend, or they do attend regularly, and they can be loyal, faithful followers for a program that I'm promoting, or whether it's the Autonomy Club for Creative Expression or the workshops, and they will be consistently showing up. So that to me is like, yeah, thank you, thank you. And they can be appreciative, for what they're gaining, because I feel that most see the value of let's say, the years of what I've learned, and that I'm more than happy to share, because that's what I do. And consequently, a lot, or most of them who I've met personally are very, let's say, open in their appreciation. Yeah.
It is very, dare I say, almost strange to um, to hear you talking about the creative expression, the artistic side of things. But what about the autonomy course, where we hear about it being like about sales and everything, but specifically like in the course itself? What made you go, oh, this course also teaches about creative expression? Like, is there anything that comes to mind specifically that answers that question?
Well, it's the lectures that are inspiring. And I've, I never missed. I never missed because I was inspired by what Richard has always taught. And then the questions that would come up on Sunday, and I always attended those. So I could see that people's evolution their processing as they grew, as they became more confident, and as they acquired skills. How can they develop this business, you see? So for me, that is part of the creative expression, that it's just watching people evolve and how they become more confident. And then the next thing you know, it's like, okay, we're going to try this. We're going to create a business. And it just seemed to me that Richard never closes the door, and he always allows people to express, even though they may feel uncomfortable or, just a little uncomfortable in presenting their thought, but yet they're heard. They're heard. And I, personally, I see that the more we are heard, the more confident we become. And here again, the artist or the whatever comes to the surface, because the fear that has been perhaps blocked or suppressed, it's like, okay, well, I can override it because now I have the confidence to speak in front of a large group. So little by little, it is an evolutionary process. And again, I've seen people blossom. Does that cover?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Thank you. Um, so you just mentioned Richard Grove, the man himself. I like what you said, but your direct experience with him, like your one-on-one experience with him, what was that like?
Well, it was wonderful because I could see that that he has been studying history as long as I have, and that in depth and intensely. So it was like, oh my gosh, yes, these are books that I know I've read, and he goes even deeper. He knows even more. He has, not just read the one book, but he has read 6 others on the same topic. I haven't had quite the patience. I read one that covered the topic, and yeah, and I trust it. Richard has a very, let's say, inquisitive mind, but also he has he wants the evidence. So he's not going to just accept one book. He's going to research the same topic in several. And that I find quite remarkable. So I felt very comfortable speaking with him. We knew pretty much, the basic structure of our world, and how we've been, or how the masses have been bamboozled. And consequently, that just needs to be uncovered, exposed. So for me, it was very rewarding, and it's been, because of the Grand Theft World and the town hall and so forth. So we get to explore, even on a deeper level, what is really happening, because the media, yeah, well, we're not even going to go there, but no, to have a reliable historian. And absolutely, I feel very confident that when I ask him a question about any topic that I have researched and I still have questions about, he will have a response. And that's extraordinary.
But as far as the reason why you joined Autonomy, though, how was it working with him for those purposes?
Well, as I said, his encouragement, the basic philosophy that he has structured is something I'm in love with, because I've always had a knowing of it. It's something that landed on me very young, about ethics and principle. and honor and all of the good things that I believe are part of our inheritance as being made in the image of God. That to me is of utmost importance. I mean, this is my, it's like, yeah, this is what I'm about. And this is what is being carried through in autonomy, that it is about respect, honor, respect for one another, and it is about living a life of principle. And how can we create a life or a society or a community where we can trust one another, where we can build with each other? It's an endless possibility. And in my heart and mind, that's what I've been wanting. Because again, being so isolated for so long, being again, a one-woman show for so many years, and not having communication or community has been, kind of sad, rather sad for me. So when, I spoke with him and I spoke with Leah and, everyone else, Lisa, I found such a common ground and the confidence again that I could build trust, that I could, and in time, of course, what can we build? Can we come closer together? Can we join forces so that we're not isolated, alone? So that's, important.
Most definitely. Most definitely. What does so we always hear about this culture of excellence, right? What
Absolutely.
does that mean to you?
Oh God, then I am going to get emotional because
That's
it's
okay.
oh, I guess everybody here and everybody who's ever talked to me knows that I cry easily because I do get emotional about the dream. You see, the dream for me is the culture of excellence, where people live in respect with honor for each other as human beings, as who we really are, not just as, oh, some passing figure, but people who we can be authentic with. And again, the big word for me is trust, that you can confide in, that you can be your authentic self with. So it's just being your true nature, having that expression, however you're going to express it, whether it's carpentry, whether it's building a garden, whatever. And, we all have a unique gift. And so the culture of excellence for me would be building a community where each person has a contribution to make. It doesn't matter where they come from or their age or anything at all. It's just their personal contribution. How do I make this a better world? How do I make this a better living situation for myself? I'm, well, no man is an island, and I have certainly experienced isolation. So for me, community is important, but I'm not going to just take any old community. No, not at all. For me, I've been very specific and I'm very, very picky that no, I will not, I mean, here, like those years, well, California wasn't quite as, quite as bad, but Nevada was pretty awful for me. And the culture there, I could not in any way join or participate within. Consequently, I'd rather be alone. So that saying, I'd rather be alone than in poor company, very definitely, because I want to be with quality people who are who they say they are. That to me is a culture of excellence. Be who you say you are, because there's that saying that says, who you are speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying, because your aura speaks. And I am really good at picking up frequency and knowing where people are. And if there is a lie, I usually detect it pretty quickly. It shows up. It shows up. So a culture of excellence would just mean, you know, you are who you say you are, and you're authentic, and you live your truth. Whatever it is, you live it. You're not putting up a false image to look or to be something you're not. So in other words, what you see is what you get. To be in that realm.
You might have already answered this, but just to drive it home, did you find that in the community of autonomy?
I will say largely. Mhm. There are some infiltrators, and I've spotted them rather quickly, because there's always that. But overall, I would say that most of the people who have either attended my seminars or who I have connected with are in that realm. They are authentically wanting that culture of excellence, without exception. Those that are consistently in my life, the friendships that I have built, yes, they are in that mode. That if it's like we're searching for, it's like a degree of perfection, and we're striving towards it, and we're eager and we're honest and sincere in that objective. We may not be there entirely, but definitely that's the objective.
How do you feel about or what do you think rather about the idea of it's never too late to learn new things?
Oh, I'll be behind that forever, because it's just irrelevant how old you are. If you don't continue to learn, if for some reason there's a subconscious thought in the back of your mind, is like, oh, it's like I've learned enough, or I've gotten all the degrees I need, or whatever. No, you're doomed. You're doomed. And I say, I'm a forever student. I've been studying, and yes, innumerable whatever certifications, and it it doesn't matter. The thing that matters is that I continue to learn and develop the skills that are of importance to me. I have passion, and whether it is nutrition and whether it is the workings of the brain, absolutely. I pursue those on a daily basis. The information is vast, and consequently, I will never stop. So the I know that a lot of people do come from, let's say, a very intellectual educational system, and sometimes they have a hard time adapting to a very different teaching or a different structure. And it's a challenge for them, you see. And I say, it doesn't matter. Just consider, see, and it's the same way with the autonomy club for creative expression. Consider opening a new door, because I do hypnotherapy, and it is a matter of, let's say, a different mindset. So that would be one of the skills that definitely I use. It's changing the mindset so that you can open yourself to the new, whatever it is, in whatever form.
I'd like to remind everybody at this point that if there's any questions or for Renee about autonomy, to please feel free to ask them. Um, if not, then we can just continue having our conversation here, Renee.
Okay, lovely. I love questions wherever they come from.
I'll ask a quick question.
Hi, Jerry.
Sorry if you already touched on this, but how did you find out about autonomy?
It was an email that showed up in info@reneedevereaux.com from the University of Reason. It just popped in there. I have no clue where it came from, but of course, University of Reason would be of appeal to me. So I opened it, and it was an invitation, and it just happened to be on that day at that time. So I thought, well, there's no coincidences here. So but that was my first um, introduction to autonomy. And like I say, I was so delighted because the conversations that were going on were lovely, and right away I felt welcome. I could ask a question, and yet I was a complete stranger. I had never participated, I'd never been there, and yet I could ask questions. So that was my introduction. And thank you for the question.
So, is there gonna be another talent show?
I would certainly hope so. I think there were more people who were reluctant. They were a little bit nervous, and they just didn't think they just didn't think they were up for it. But I've gotten, yeah, inquiries. And so I think we should. Don't you? Are you going to do your
Oh,
juggling act or do something different? You were extraordinary, Jerry. I mean, really, that was just awesome that you were able to do a juggling act and do that theorem. I mean, blew me away. So prepare yourself, please.
I was thinking playing the African drums. That would be
Ooh,
cool. So, yeah, I gotta
that'll
prepare
be,
for that.
please. Love that. Okay.
Hi, Renee. How are you?
Oh, I'm so happy to be here, and thank you.
Awesome. You look beautiful and it's great to see you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm delighted to be here. Oh, I
Yeah,
can't tell.
amazing. I got to tell you, your example of leadership in this community is really stellar, and I admire you so much for how you show up for people. And I think you're absolutely brilliant. And to have you as a colleague and a friend is just a joy in my life and so many other people's.
Leah, I am honored. Thank you so much, because the thrill is mine, really, to have this connection with you. And you know, I treasure you.
Same. And I can't wait for your material to to come out and to watch everything that you do, and the connections that you put together with your material and how you are able to, transcend so many aspects of learning about the self that a lot of people forget on their journey. And it's so meaningful to bring
Thank
that
you.
in. Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
for pointing that out, because this is the key to it all. You see, it's what's there. Gurdjieff, my favorite spiritual coach. I mean, it's remember yourself. What is there that you've forgotten about? What is it? And in that forgetting, we suppress our not just our intellect, but our skills, our creative spark. So, and this is what I'm constantly bringing up: is your creativity, is your creative spark. It's not just a focus on how you're going to survive, but how you're going to survive beautifully, ethically, with excitement in life. You see, in general, it's just, yeah, you can have a humdrum existence. And I say, no, that's not worth life. That's not a life worth living. I say, what is it that makes it's like the spice. What is it that adds the the gusto? the joy of expression, of the creative expression. So that's been what I want to bring forward, because a lot of people, it seems to me that a lot of people are willing to just adapt. And, there's a bit of apathy that enters. There's a bit of inertia. I say, no, that's not what you signed up for. There's a soul there looking for the emotional connection to life. And that doesn't come from the head. That comes from your heart. That comes from the soul. And so what I want to make palpable, and this is what the work is about, and definitely, the new book that I want to, yes, bring forward, that's, integrating feeling emotions so that you come alive. So each person comes to life. And that's, again, where do you start? Where do you start? Is it by drawing a painting? I know that you expressed, your artistic interest, Leah, and I want to see where that tree went to, you see, because you told me about a tree that you drew as a little girl. And so there is an artist there. And there is some aspect in everyone, and whether it was creating mud pies or whether it was whatever, playing with the trucks, you see, there was an initial interest. And that's what I want to, it's like strike the match so that it flares into you, everyone, becoming alive and passionate, and then go on to a life of joy. Is that a possibility? Is that the culture of excellence?
It's brilliant. And when I was in your class, I felt like I touched a part of my soul that I didn't know that I had the power to still bring to life. And it was life changing for me because I recognized it's part of who I am, and what I need to do to fulfill the gifts that God gave me on this earth, to be able to share those with others, because they don't belong to me. I have to share that with other people. And it's, I need that balance in my life to, find that alchemy of living and being and having that harmony and those connections to spirituality for myself. And you did that. You brought that back to life in me. And, I've watched the things that you've put out, and I'm just in awe. And personally, you touched my life, and, it's going to be, it's inspiring, and it's so meaningful, and it brings so much joy to my heart. And I just hope that everybody, takes your classes and reads what you do and talks to you. And it's just the most incredible experience. And you're just the most incredible person. So I appreciate you so much. And thank you. Thank you so much.
I bless you. Thank you so much for putting it so beautifully. And you said it perfectly. It's the God-given gifts, you see, and this is where we don't live up to our, let's say, purpose in life. We let those gifts die dormant in us. We go to our graves, and what was it Richard said? With our songs in our hearts, unexpressed. And to me, that is grief. You see, that is grief. That has caused me a lot of tears over the years, because that's been an existential fear for me, to live out my life without really having made an impact, without really having touched a soul, at least one, where they were willing to transform themselves. And blessedly, I've had many, And I could tell you stories of my extraordinary people, extraordinary clients who have done incredible things. And that's I guess that's my objective, to be able to have people touch that aspect of themselves that is there, because I cannot bear to see someone whose gift is so obvious to me, because I have this ability to see clearly what you're capable of. And to have anyone just, be content with complacency and just, focus on dinner, going out, and whatever, the Twitter account, or it's like, please, no, you're meant for so much more. So thank you, Leah. It's heartfelt for me to hear you express that, because again, that's what my life has been about, the transformation of people, where they can free themselves to express those God-given gifts. Because again, those are gifts. What do you do? What do you do with them? Do you just file them away and say, well, maybe next time?
It's the perfect complement to what Richard is teaching, because he's, teaching them, like you said, that to bring that song out of their heart, and then the nuance of having, an extraordinary experience, being able to cultivate that, under your guidance. And I got to, I'm having this realization that for a lot of people in the freedom movement, people who are awake, people that do research, it's really hard to find good mentorship in life. And I think that I see Rick, like you and Richard and other people that I've had the privilege of working with in the freedom movement. I'm finding that you're all extraordinary mentors. But the people that I meet in autonomy are extraordinary people in
Yes.
search of extraordinary mentors.
Well,
And it's a match.
well, it's definitely a privilege. And I just, I love being able to share my work with people who are willing to listen. And this is what I have found that warms my heart, that people are willing to listen. They don't always, take it on, but at least they're willing to listen. So I feel, okay, at least a seed has been planted. A seed has been planted, and maybe sooner or later, they will step up to the plate and do the work, because the work is not easy. And I'm never going to say it is easy, because you do need to shed a lot of layers to be able to get to the authentic self. But at least you're opening to it. And that's like I say, the first step that must occur.
Thank you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in season 13.
Oh, you definitely will. Yeah, you will. Well, I'm going to be one of your guides again. So that'll be fun. It's always fun. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Renee.
Yes. Oh, hi, James.
Hey, how are you?
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
I just wanted to say that as far as the learning, there really is no expiration date on learning. You're right.
No.
If there were, we would, at a certain point, we'd just start watching TV, and I don't think we're made for that.
No.
But I just say that I really, it's my first season 12. So I really enjoyed our talks.
Mm-hmm. I did too. I did too, very much.
These are like conversations you can't have. I call it off the reservation, away from autonomy. So
Right.
I was kind of shocked that some of the things that we're talking about here, and pretty impressive. So I appreciate autonomy, and I appreciate you as well. So thank you.
And thank you, James. I appreciate your presence. Yeah, it was a pleasure. It's been a pleasure, and may it continue.
Oh, it will.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. Yeah.
Good evening. Greetings and salutations.
Yeah, Richard. Hi. How are you?
I'm doing wonderfully well. Thank you for asking. And since you and James are like the bookends on me overcoming some introversion last year, I wanted to recognize that. And, James for stepping up when I discovered that we could make karaoke sounds at Pork Fest. And then by the time that he and a few other graduates had gone, I realized I had to face that fear. And I'd held on to that fear for a good 50 years. Half a century was plenty long enough for that fear. So I did the thing, and no one threw tomatoes at me. No one threw rocks. I actually did this thing several times. Still no one did anything negative. I kept waiting for the negative feedback, the discouragement, the people making comments, all that stuff that never happened. So all of my fears kind of like evaporated. And for better or worse, I've been ruining people's favorite songs now for almost a year. And you got me to do something that if you asked me the year before, hey, Richard, would you sing at the talent show in front of the students and graduates? I would have been like, no, I'll write a $10,000 check to your favorite charity. I'll have an excuse that'll get me out of this. And
Oh,
I had no excuses. I was happy not to make an excuse for once in that situation and be able to, again, do the thing. And whether or not I ruined people's favorite songs, that's going to happen. And I invite you to ruin my favorite songs at karaoke this year. So I wanted to thank you both because after many years of teaching autonomy, I'm still learning and growing too and facing fears and making breakthroughs. And, it's an ongoing thing. Learning is a lifetime process. So we're all on the journey and we all help each other. And I just wanted to thank you guys for the support, encouragement, and room to grow.
well, Richard, you were extraordinary. I mean, the whole place, it looked like a nightclub, for heaven's sakes. You were so ready, and it just such a professional performance. It was a delight. So no, there would not have been a hook to pull you off the stage. It just wouldn't have been allowed because it was great. I think, you topped off the show with an extraordinary setting. What more could we ask? I mean, really.
Well, you got to see James sing some Doors and Break On Through or Hey Man, Nice Shot. That was like his epic song. We couldn't follow him. We all had to tap out. We're like, we can't do that. You did that. We can't do that. You win. So.
Okay. Well, no, it was a great evening. And okay. So we're on for this year at some point. Okay.
If not for the autonomy community being how it is, a safe space, to use that term that I really would rather not use, but it's hard to describe it in another way. I wouldn't have had the confidence or the courage to step up to the mic and sing myself. So in a roundabout way, Richard, what you've constructed helped yourself.
You're saying I did it to myself like Radiohead?
Yeah.
You do it to yourself.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So the culture of excellence, the community aspect of all of this, like at Pork Fest in front of my peers and fellow graduates or students, and even some, Grand Theft World fans and members, just let loose. It's fine. It's a lot of fun.
Yes, it is a safe space because everyone is so generous. I mean, really. I mean, if you can just remember, and I know that there is a replay somewhere. I know that the first part is faulty because of something was going on with my computer, but the feedback was extraordinary. Like I say, the whole community is so generous, very kind. I mean, no matter what, the self-criticism is usually what defeats us. And this is what I won't hear of. And this is why we work together in the Autonomy Club for Creative Expression in preparation for the show, because we deconstruct that self-criticism that says, oh yeah, but you're gonna, whatever, all that stuff that every brain has. It's just not allowed. That's it. Because we're just focusing on the generosity and kindness of everyone. And my gosh, the feedback on each act was extraordinary. Let's face it. Yeah, everybody loved everybody else's act. So
It was
that's
a place where everybody wins, but nobody got a trophy. Everyone who did the thing won, you know? We all did our practice and stuff, and we did the thing, and we didn't chicken out. So everybody won, nobody lost, but nobody gets trophies, because that's kind of like...
It's just perfection. It was not a competition. You see, I don't want a competition. No, it's just each individual showing their talent, their skill, their passion. That's it. It's not a competition. No.
It doesn't have to be a zero-sum game.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be winners and losers. Everybody, like, that's a scarcity mentality. Like, it's in games. It's artificially built in games. But,
exactly.
you know, there's plenty of people who won't take action. So there's plenty of room for people to take on the abundance mindset and reap all that reward.
Yeah.
No one else is going to till that field.
Yeah, no, it's just not acceptable. Competition is just not in the realm of what this culture of excellence. No, we are each our very best, and we are in training. And whether it is through the Autonomy Club for Creative Expression or through whatever other seminar is unfolding, it is not a competition. It's just each person being their outstanding self. That's it. That's all there's to it. No, I am not competing with anyone. I just want to be the very best I can be.
I compete with my yesterday self, who I was yesterday. That's it. That's your only measuring stick. Because if you measure yourself against other people, like, it's apples and oranges.
Yeah, it just doesn't.
You're not other people. We're all unique.
Yeah.
And yet we have similar issues to conquer along the way. What a cool place.
Isn't that amazing? Because yes, we do have, it's the human condition that we have similar challenges, similar whatever things that we want to break through. And yeah, we do it. We get the encouragement, as you gave me encouragement, as you give everyone encouragement to step up and fulfill our heart's desire, whatever it may be. That's it.
That's one of the places. So that's a good observation, because I'm very wealthy in encouragement and patience and politeness. And I was thinking back on my calls earlier today. I had to call the electric company. I had to talk to an attorney. I had to talk to all these various people today. They were all excellent at their jobs. And when I got off the phone with them, they were having a wonderful day because they had been recognized for conducting themselves with excellence, right? Just those little things that you can afford to do. It's not like it's a compliment, not like a bribe, right? It has to be legitimate. If they're not excellent at what they're doing, don't tell them they're excellent, But when you recognize somebody, it's like you can transact back and forth and get the thing done. That's a rare thing these days. And a few kind words to those people working customer service or working the desk for somebody or whatever, it lasts throughout all their human interactions for the rest of their day. In their road rage that they can avoid, and the kids that they can avoid reacting to and have a thoughtful response later. It's no more thinking and kicking the cat, as Zig Ziglar used to say.
Exactly. You see, yeah, to know, or to have the person know that we appreciate their action. They're doing their best and we recognize it. And that's the value as an individual, because this is how we build each other. We build up our confidence and whatever. So consequently, no, it's not a competition. And that's the way it is.
Yeah,
So
we want to cooperate, not compete.
exactly. Right? That's it.
You want a synergistic orchestra, right? And that means people have to know how to play their instruments and then play instruments together. It's one thing to know how to work and build a web page for somebody. You do have a service to the market. However, if you could work with a copywriter, a graphics person, someone who's doing social media posts, and you can work in concert, that agency perspective is much more valuable and makes more money and has more consistent revenue, and therefore less types of anxiety and pressures and other things that ruin people's peace of mind and keep them away from creative solutions. The more we can focus on creative solutions and how to get them into action and be less distracted and demoralized and, you know, dismayed with the world, the more things we can get done. And it just comes down to like, how many people can you help? And I had someone comment on a YouTube video yesterday about the history blueprint. And they're like, yeah, it's $500. That's a lot of money. And I felt like saying, hey, it's been $300 for the past year. I felt like saying a bunch of things, but really what they're doing is they're advertising their poor relationship with money and hoping I will feel pity on them. And that's not a strategy to go through life, right? Whereas they could easily learn to up their talents, up their skills, make a better offer to the market, afford all the things they want, and not have to go around, you know, obviously left wanting. It's a reflection of the school system. It's not their fault. We all had to go through it. And, you know, I just happened to bump into something that helped to solve a problem I didn't know existed until later.
There we have it. And you see, to be able to act on those divine gifts, because that was a gift, and you acted on it. You didn't have to.
It was a divine gift because I was looking for bar specials. And then I saw an ad where I could make 3 times the money over the summer than I usually made at my fry cook job at the taco place. And without that ad, I said the other night, I could still be a fry cook or someone painting. No, I learned to paint houses with that entrepreneur thing. So yeah, my limitations back then were like fry cook, even for the first year of college. Then I worked at a video store. Where else did I work? I worked a bunch of places, different restaurants. I was a sous chef. I worked myself up to like high paying cook. But being in the kitchen 60 hours a week was no way to spend the rest of my future. So I got out and I liked being outside and we started renovating houses. So I watched the video earlier today. I won't tangent too long, but this is remarkable. YouTube served me a video that had 30 views from someone who had 16 subscribers, and he's a kid in his young 20s. He just formed a YouTube page a couple days ago, right? His video title said, I made $8,000 in a week washing windows. And I was like, bro, tell me how you did that. Because I know how to do that, but no one else these days knows such things, right? He bought $130 worth of stuff. He worked out his pitch. They went and knocked on doors. They sold a package that was down marked from $450 to like $375. That, you know, he had this whole thing worked out, and he only had to run it for 3 weeks during the summer, and then he had the rest of his summer off, right? So when I have adults coming to me today and they are telling me their best excuses that they've been carrying around, sometimes I have a hard time saying, or not saying, you could wash cars, you could wash windows, you could pressure wash houses, you can clean gutters, like all these things you can do, very low entry to market. If you're willing to work, there's money out there to be had if you know how to ask for it. And it's a numbers game. You'll get 4 or 6 out of 10 houses you knock on in the neighborhood. You have to go do the thing. That's the skill. And if you know how to do that, it serves you for the rest of your life with whatever industry you're in, because that's the skill. And this dude figured it out for himself. He watched some YouTube videos, got together with his friends, figured out like pressure washing has chemicals. We don't want to do that. This has this risk. And they just found like the lowest risk, lowest barrier to entry, took away all their excuses, and they all made more money than they would have if they worked minimum wage. And I think that's a real lesson in American self-reliance. And it's a real indicator that schooling delivers none of that. Right? That could be had for almost free when they want to charge you 6 figures for a college education these days. It goes nowhere.
Right. But you see, Richard, what I see there from that story is the entrepreneurial spirit, is that skill, the motivation. That is lacking on the great number of people, and it doesn't come from education. Where does it come from?
Knowing that it's possible and seeing other people do it.
No,
like when I saw these other guys who were just a couple years older than me, and they were raking in, you know, here's $100,000 in production for their business in 3 months over the summer. I was like, yes, please. How do I do that? Because none of my friends, no one I knew had any type of like self business. Everybody's like working at like, you know, the mall and stuff, you know, and that's not a future. And I also knew my business degree from college was not going to get me anywhere near the lifestyle I wanted. And I remember it was my senior year, my 5th year, right? I was about to graduate in a couple months. I didn't have a job lined up yet. I was watching the Super Bowl, and Brett Favre got the MVP, and he won the new Porsche Boxster, which was a convertible. And I remember thinking at that time, after 5 years of college, I will never be able to afford that $50,000 car, which is, you know, kind of pitiful. If you spend 5 years in school, you should be able to go get a house and live a life. But like, it was just so scarcity, right? Because I didn't know how to apply my skills. I didn't know I had skills that were valuable to the market. I didn't know how valuable those skills were to the market. Anyway, 18 months later, I had that car without even having to think about it. It was like one day I just like, oh, I can go buy that car now. So like things I didn't think I could ever do, I was doing like in 18 months, 24 months. I checked off a whole bunch of bucket list stuff. I went to Porsche Racing School down in Georgia for a week, and I raced. My teacher was the winner of Le Mans and Sebring. He's one of the world's top race drivers. I rode and got top with him for a week. I never thought I would get to do that, because like when I was graduating college, a couple $1,000s was like, that's a lot of money. But within those first couple years, I went to racing school. I went to the Olympics. Like, I wrote my own ticket. I stayed wherever I want, spent as much money as I wanted to, because I had a skill set that could deliver 10x what I was getting, right? And I was watching another successful entrepreneur that we know, Sabri Subi, and we use a lot of his marketing techniques as examples. And basically, like in his video that he recently won some award or something. So, you know, he has a $100 million like net worth, right? Which sounds like a lot of money. And it is a lot of money. Do any of us need that kind of money? I don't need that kind of money. I'd be great with like 1/10 of that, right? I'd be all set, not even think about it. For him, he wants that type of money. So what did he have to do? He had to create a system that generated $8 billion for his clients. And then out of that, he gets $100 million net worth, right? In other words, everything that you want in life is a function of creating 10x value for other people. And then that is like how people make income. That's how they stay afloat, because, you know, money earns a direct consequence of value you provide to the public, doing things for other people, right? Because you don't get money for working for yourself. But when you provide value and utility to other people, that's where the economy wants to exchange this wealth store of energy we call money, right? So like understanding the economics is pretty simple. Learning how to get the skills is pretty simple. Overcoming the fear and doing the door knocks or whatever you got to do to get your offer in front of people, running ads, all these sort of things. Being willing to face a little rejection to find massive success is like something we should all be willing to do. But schooling scares that out of us. It makes us fear ridicule and what everyone's going to think if you do something, right? Whereas we could live in a culture where it's like, oh, you don't have an offer in the market? Let me help you. Because everyone has an offer in the market. You're either offering yourself and your services as an employee to someone who has to pay a whole bunch of taxes and pretty much double what they pay you just to pay you, right? Or you're learning how to hoe your own row in the garden. And you're like, I'm going to have a convenience store and I'm going to work with suppliers and I'm going to advertise and run specials and sell lottery tickets. Like, you got to figure out what you want to do. You're going to be doing something. It takes a lot of energy, time, effort, frustration, anxiety to be like in a poor relationship with money. It's a lot easier to just build a wealthy abundance mindset and then learn how to apply that to reality and provide value to other people by solving problems and helping them achieve results. So it's not rocket science.
No, it isn't. The thing is that, you know, a lot of people don't see the value in themselves. And consequently, they don't realize that they have something of value that they can offer.
Well, let
So
me
if-
ask you, you know, between me, you, in this room,
Mhm.
do you think that every child has that naturally? And then maybe we all go to kindergarten and we start getting that stuff stomped out of us because the lack of self-respect that is prevalent in adults and the learned helplessness, these are not natural capacities
No.
for human beings. Otherwise, we would have never survived in
Mhm.
history to get this far.
Correct. So we do get dumbed down and people lose confidence in themselves. And of course, they don't value what they do or what they are. And this is, again, the Autonomy Club for Creative Expression. It's to build the confidence that, yes, there is a gift that is of value, that is appreciated by others. And that's why we're having this conversation, that, yeah, the appreciation for your value and how do you form it to be able to offer it to others. Again, the passion, the love of, yeah, service, that's in there too. And that's, yeah, conditioned, programmed out of us.
Well, I think you have to first have the self-respect to do things right for yourself. And then once you do that and you can show up for yourself and you can be prompt and you can put things in your calendar and show up for those things, now you're ready to go help other people, because otherwise you're going to be disappointing them, ruining your reputation, causing a whole bunch of negative strife. Like I'm not going to drop any names, but I know some autonomy students who might have made obligations to other friends of mine and then dropped the ball, right? And then I get a call and then I got to call down. You know, these things happen because we're all in growth, right? So it's important to know, hey, this person is like 75% there, but sometimes they get distracted, right? As opposed to like, I'm giving you someone who's 100% focused and not going to be distracted. So just setting people's expectations when you're initiating new relationships, that's all just part of networking. And again, we're not taught that in school. You had, like, I learned that on the fly watching people who were good at it. And fortunately, I had some exemplary mentors and they set some good habits for me. Otherwise, like, I would have never been a used car salesman or done like sleazy stuff like that. But I almost got into pharmaceutical sales because I didn't know any better. And then I discovered, I was like, wait a minute, if I sell the new hot drug and it kills people, that's bad, right? So I'm like, I'm going to sell software because these companies don't use software for people. I'm selling database software. I didn't know any better there too. I think they use that in the military industrial complex a lot. So anyway, yeah, I don't do those things anymore. And learning those methods of doing it right allowed me to exit an industry that wasn't right for me. It gave me the confidence to be like, I don't need this paycheck. I don't need this commission tax. I can go anywhere and do anything I want. So why would I compromise integrity and turn my head and cough like these other weaklings that I work with? And those guys had excuses like, oh, I got kids in college. I got a boat to pay for. I got this. I got divorced. I got alimony. Because I'd be like, dude, why are you going to ruin your career over playing with this nonsense of having backdoor in the software? Like, there's a lot of criminality here. And they just don't, they didn't believe in themselves to do anything else. They felt, you know, I'm sure trapped and without options. But I had wings and I could fly someplace else. So learn to fly.
That's the key. Beautiful. Thank you.
Fly with the eagles or run with the turkeys?
Now we can let the turkeys go off by themselves. Yeah.
All right. As we move to wrapping it up this evening, I would give a special thank you to Renee. One last shout out to anyone out there in the audience that wishes to ask a question about autonomy to Renee or to anyone else. Just
And while you guys are spooling up that question, the next event tonight is Doc Rock has he's premiering Marlon Brando joint that has, it's all about the East India Company and like the influence of the British on America. So I got a little bird tweeted something to me about it earlier. I was like, oh, I haven't seen that movie. And I will be there at 9 o'clock tonight to check it out with you guys.
Okay. It sounded like an interesting movie, so I'll probably tune into. Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, you know, Brando, he's a pretty decent actor. I'll check it out. Any questions, comments, complaints, conundrums? You don't have to be shy or bashful on this call. But if you're not ready to talk, that's cool too, because nothing's mandatory in autonomy. You could be a wallflower. You could just glean what's going on. Some people go through once before they even unmute. That has happened in the past. We try to discourage it and encourage them to come out and flourish. Everything gets easier once you start getting your questions answered faster than you can type them.
Richard, I heard you had a new presentation out.
Humdinger. It's all done. It is called Fear is Optional, How to Choose Courage and Build the Future, where you're the master and commander, the writer of your own script. Fear oftentimes keeps people from taking the first step to get started, and it's the first step to get started that leads to all the other wonderful things. So I made a new 2-hour masterclass focused on obliterating various types of fears and evicting them one by one. So I know if I can help you overcome your fears, navigate your obstacles, overcome your excuses, then all you're left with is success. And it's a process anyone can learn how to do. And that's why it's a free masterclass that everyone can pass around to anyone who might be afflicted by fear, anxiety, pressure, and things like that. These are tools to learn how to manage them in your life without pharmaceuticals.
I started listening to it, Richard, and it's excellent. Thank you.
That means a lot coming from you, Renee.
Yeah.
It just so happens that tomorrow night, Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, there's going to be an autonomy screening of that very presentation. You could even watch it right now. The links to those are in the chat right now. Tomorrow, autonomy screenings, there's going to be a Q&A as well. So you really don't want to miss that. It's going to be a real blast. Then, after that, on Sunday, March 16th at 12 p.m. Eastern, Richard and the autonomy community, we invite you to take a look at what autonomy has to offer with the Autonomy Ultimate Freedom Skill Set. It's a webinar, and you're going to be able to find out what's happening in Autonomy Season 13, and you're going to be able to ask Richard anything about the autonomy course. So the link to that is also in the chat. And then
the gist on that real quick.
Go ahead.
You can't just buy autonomy. It's by invitation only. And we have a process. And that process seems intimidating until you discover the reason we have that process is to find the exemplary people and have this awesome experience on the other side. So what we've been able to do is along the way, we need you to have informed consent, complete transparency. We don't want you making emotional reaction, kind of like, I'm excited and I'm going to join right now. We'd rather you wait 2 or 3 days, cool off, and join for the right reasons, because this type of learning is a lifetime endeavor, and we're looking for the people who are serious about themselves and going to show up for themselves for the right reasons. Nobody has ever taken their credit card out during one of these webinars or even the blueprint strategy discovery calls, none of that. It's all about providing you with options, giving you an invitation if you qualify, and then letting you make a decision on your own time. So I took the cringeworthy sales process we're all familiar with, and I designed it like, what's the right way to do these things? So the right way to do these things is how we do it. That's how we teach it. And it's how we conduct our business. However, it's kind of alien and counterintuitive because all you've seen most of your life are the wrong ways to do things. Here, get you on a call, close you in 30 minutes, get you to pay on the phone, and then you're locked in. That is no way to build relationships. We're not looking to make slaves. We're looking to help people self-liberate. So it is a different process, but I promise you, if you learn how to navigate it, it does yield a great deal of bounty.
And you can learn even more about the autonomy course with the Autonomy Primer, which is a detailed explanation of the autonomy course of action taught by Rich. And just in that, we cover all the details that you need to know to make an informed decision and find out if autonomy is right for you. And once you've done that, you go right ahead and book yourself a blueprint strategy call with one of our graduates, where you'll be able to talk to one of the graduates and they'll help you figure out your next steps based on your own personal goals and dreams and aspirations.
So you're not talking to a sales call center in India or some far off place. You're talking to people who have just been down the journey. They're hikers that just finished the mountain that you want to climb. So I figure they're the best intel for you to make a decision, because why should you have to trust me when you could just verify with the people who just did the thing, right? So it's verify and then trust. That's how we roll.
Mm-hmm. And the links to the primer and the blueprint strategy call are also kindly provided in the chat this evening. So cut and paste and click away to your heart's content before we wrap up this evening. want to give a very special thank you to all the audience attendees this evening. This has been a very special Autonomy Quest for me. I really do appreciate your time and your attention. Renee is such a beautiful person, and honestly, the autonomy community would not be the same without you, Renee, in my humble opinion. So thank you so much for everything that you do and all of the genuine encouragement that you give to people.
Thank you. Thank you so much, James. I'm so moved by the feedback I've gotten, and wonderful. I so appreciate everyone here, your time, your attention, the questions, and it was a real privilege for me to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you, James. Thank you, Leah. Thank you, Martin. And thank you guys all for attending. And I look forward to seeing you guys Friday for the screening.
You will.
Well, all right, everybody. That does it. And for this week's Autonomy Quest. And we'll be sure to have another Autonomy Quest next week. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you next time.
Night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Thank you again.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.